Hi there and welcome to the Gem Blenders channel. My name is Steve and today I'm going to be doing the second video in the Versus series where I compare Gem Blenders to other games in the trading card game genre. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is another great card game that began in my childhood and it's been going on for over 20 years. Through its manga, anime, and the card game itself, it's managed to grow a huge following. In this video I'm going to be honing in on 3 major similarities and 3 differences between Gem Blenders and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So here we go. The first major similarity between the games deals with life. Both in Gem Blenders and in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a life point system being used, which is actually rooted in Magic the Gathering, which was released before both of those games. But in all of these games, the goal is to get the life points down to 0 before your opponent does the same to you. In Gem Blenders, it's called hit points actually, and it's played over a series of up to 3 25 HP segments called rounds. And the winner is the person who wins 2 out of 3 of those rounds. In Yu-Gi-Oh! It's 8,000 life points, which seems like a big number, but all the attacks and defenses of your monster cards are scaled up as well. So it plays pretty similarly to other games in the genre. The second similarity between Gem Blenders and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that field positions matter. While I don't play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I have caught on to the fact that the game has changed a lot over time. And they've implemented a lot of new rules, including the extra monster zone and the pendulum zone as well. And these changes all go to say that position matters on your field and what cards you play in certain spots matters. In Gem Blenders, the foundation of the game is completely reliant on your hero positions. Every deck has exactly 4 unique heroes, and you put them in 4 distinct positions: left, center, right, and back position. The first 3 make up your front line, which can attack, and your back position hero can still use its effects, but cannot attack and cannot be attacked. And since you're not destroying your opponent's monsters, your goal is going to be to position your heroes so you're doing the most damage so you can get your opponent's HP down to 0. The last major similarity between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders is polymerization and blending. Both of these mechanics in the game deal with mixing certain elements together to create something new. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Polymerization is a spell card that you can use to combine 2 or more monsters together to special summon a monster from your fusion deck. And fusion monsters are recognized by their purple backgrounds, and they list out what monsters are required to make that card. Since the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! I was fascinated with polymerization, both in the cartoon and the card game. Going back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, I love the elemental heroes. I love the way that they could be combined and mix-matched in a bunch of different ways. And that's definitely something that laid the foundation for how gems work in Gem Blenders. Blending in Gem Blenders is the process of combining 2 to 5 different gem types to be able to use a transformation called a blend, which are the main upgrading attacking cards that you're going to want to play on your heroes so you can eventually defeat your opponent. Over the course of every Gem Blenders game, you're going to be giving your heroes different combinations of gems so they can use these blends, and that's going to be your main objective. In Gem Blenders, this is definitely a core aspect to the game, more so than what polymerization is in Yu-Gi-Oh! But both mechanics function in a similar way. Now to move on to the differences. The first major difference between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders is how tributes work versus how gems work. In Yu-Gi-Oh! You can play normal monsters directly from your hand as long as they're level 4 or lower. Other than that, there are other ways to summon your monster cards like ritual summons, fusion summons as I mentioned before, and a bunch of different other ways. But in general, a normal summon works as you have to tribute lower level monsters to be able to make higher level monsters. So that's going to be the main way you're getting powerful cards on your field. In Gem Blenders, you actually start with 4 heroes already on your field. Some have attack, some don't, some have defense, some don't. But your goal is to give them gems and power them up so they're able to use transformations called blends. The second major difference between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders is the approach to archetypes. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Many cards are grouped together by archetype, and they're going to have a strong synergy with one another. The archetypes could be the name of the card, they could be a card type, a card attribute, but these decks are all going to kind of come together based on the synergies between these cards. The most notable archetypes are the Dark Magician archetype and the Blue Eyes White Dragon archetype, which have been in play from the start. Some other notable ones are like the Harpy Ladies, the Elemental Heroes, the Ancient Gear archetype, the Toon archetype, and so many more. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does a really good job of creating these series of monsters that are grouped together in that way. In Gem Blenders, it was always my intention to kind of subvert these archetypes and form a more fluid structure where different blends could be paired together, not necessarily based on the types of gems they use. That being said, every blend requires specific gems, and you're going to have higher level blends that require 5 different gem types. And it's generally going to be in your best interest to use sub-blends of the highest level blend in your deck, just so you have a more consistent deck flow. One thing that's important to note that I outlined in my nomenclature video is that as you go lower in level, the level 2 blends, for example, are going to be useful in a variety of decks. So these blends are generally going to have more broad effects that are useful across the board and less specific, but also less powerful. The last major difference between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders is the overall design of the games. Looking at every aspect of the cards between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders, you're going to see differences between the attack and defense values, the card art, and the card template itself. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything's going to be overly embellished. You're going to have huge attack and defense values, huge life point totals, very detailed and beautiful illustrations on the cards, and a very intense effect text zone that can get complicated at times, but it's also really fun once you have a handle on it. All of this together creates a really exciting experience with Yu-Gi-Oh! That really brings you into the world. If you're a fan of the anime, it brings you into the anime and creates a really awesome experience. And that's why it's grown such a huge following. In Gem Blenders, I aimed to do something completely different than what was going on in Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to create something that was simpler, cuter, that was easier to get a handle on, but it had its own variety of depth and excitement. In Gem Blenders, you still do have boss monsters of a certain variety, but they're not going to have hugely high stats, and your goal is not really even to destroy your opponent's cards. It was always an intention with Gem Blenders to create a game that didn't take itself too seriously. And that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my comparison between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gem Blenders. And if you're interested in checking out Gem Blenders, make sure you check out our online shop. We do have sets available. And if you want to give Gem Blenders a try before purchasing, you can join our Discord where we organize weekly game testing sessions. Definitely check that out if you're interested. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and I'll catch you next time.